Hey everybody, what's up? This match is against an aggressive guy who will bluff raise you, and I've also found this is the third time I've played him that every time he fires out pretty much he sort of leads into a pot. He's normally weak or on bottom pair, so my strategy is to frequently come over the top of him and to be very aggressive. You've seen in my other matches where I played aggressive guys, I was patient, and against tight guys, I was not getting too far out of line. But against this guy, I'm going to be raising him quite a lot because he has a fold button and he bluffs quite a lot. Here on the first hand, he limps. I raise to 60, and flop comes down 10, 10, 8. I bet 120, hoping to pick this up, and straight away he raises me to 240, and I've already kind of blown a few chips in the first hand. That was a little bit ordinary. So the 6-4 I'm raising again. I'm trying to sort of be aggressive against this guy because if I'm not aggressive, he's going to run over the top of me. Obviously it backfired in that first hand, unfortunately. Jack 5 suited, and I limp. He raises, I let him have it. Here he min raises, and I'm going to call the min raise on pretty much any two cards. And I flop the nuts, which is beautiful. He bets pot, and I'll just talk about what I think you should do here, how you should play the nuts in this situation. In my opinion, you need to get chips into the pot right now. If you flat call it, there will be a lot of cards that could come on the turn which will slow him down. Obviously a 4 or a 9, possibly a club, or if the board pairs, he may well stop betting. So I raise him to 180, and the reason I make the raise that size is because I want to leave him plenty of time to come over plenty of room to come over the top of me. If I raise him to sort of 300, there's a good chance that he might just call me, but 180 doesn't look that strong, and he shoves me all in. I'm pretty happy about this. I call his shove, and he's got top pair, and he's now down to 400. This guy is a winning player at the $100 level, so although that looks like a fairly awful play, I mean, this guy's made decent money. Here I've got 2 overcards and an inside straight draw. Now I've picked up an even better straight draw. He's not betting this though. I hit on the river and try and get some value, but he folds. He's down to 370, and he plays this short stack really well, being aggressive but not committing his chips in a bad situation. Alright, I've got a nice flush draw and inside straight draw. I hit my flush draw on the turn. He bets, and I've got to think what's the best way to get his chips in here. I don't really want to flat call him in case another diamond comes and I get counterfeited. And I just raise him up to 80, but unfortunately he folds. He's down to 310, but there's plenty more life in this match yet, unfortunately. Alright, limp with 9-7, and I have to be careful he's not going to shove at me. Here we hit top pair, he checks, and I shove all in simply because the 9 is not that high a top pair. If I had maybe, if my top pair was a king or an ace, I might check and sort of give him a chance to bluff or catch up. But really I'm just about protecting my hand here. He's only got 280 left, and I might get called by all sorts of draws or second pair and so on, so I'm shoving. And he folds. Ace Queen, unfortunately folds there. I limp with 3-6, and I bet out here because it's very hard for him to bluff me with that few chips. He's basically pot committing himself, and obviously he's looking for a better spot. Right, he raises me to 3x and I'm folding 3-5. King 2, I'm still limping at this stage because he's not too aggressive, he's just being patient. He's got more than 10 big blinds. I bet trying to put some pressure on him again, hopefully he'll get a fold. And he calls me, which is a bad sign. King on the river, and I'm not going to bet for value because I don't want to have him shove me all in, which will put me in a difficult position. And he had queen queen. I was lucky to hit that river. Also lucky that he didn't raise pre-flop. Alright, I flat call, and here it's kind of obviously not a good flop for me. He bets 40, and I see that as probably a strong hand. I expect if he missed, he might shove here just to try and pick it up. So I'm going to fold my king 8. I'm not coming over the top of him. I might be wrong there, but I think I don't want to double him up. A6, and I'm limping this, hoping he'll shove and I can snap call. And we hit the draw. He bets 40. With the 2 overcards and the straight draw, I could really easily shove there. King on the turn's not good. He checks. Maybe I should put some pressure on him. And unfortunately, when the 3 comes on the river, I clicked fold to any bet, which was a big error, and I could have looked him up for just 20, and there's a chance I might have won that. So he's up to 320. As I said, he's playing his short stack pretty well, not taking too many chances. I bet here, and bang, he raises me. Whenever I bet out at paired boards throughout this match and the other matches that I've played him, he's almost always raised me, so that was a bit of an error there. This middle board with 2 hearts, I don't want to bet at. It's really easy for him to call my bet, and with king high, I think I just play it for the showdown value. 8 on the river, so there's a chance my king's going to hold up. And he got the jack. He may well have shoved on me with his sort of gut shot there, so I'm glad I played that hand slowly. And I fold to his 3x. Queen 8, I'm still limping because he's not too aggressive. Hit top pair. He bets pot. In my experience with this guy, whenever he does that, he's generally weak, and I'm certainly not folding top pair, so in go all the chips from me. Oh, sorry, enough to commit his stack at least, and that was the end of that. Shoves, and I fold my queen 8, and also my 2-7. So he's being a little bit aggressive, but not too aggressive. Here I call on 4-7, hoping to pick up a nice flop. It's cheap. He's giving me 3-1 on the min raise. I miss. I could fire out here, which is probably what I should do. Now the jack on the river. Not much point me betting here because I'm going to get looked up by an ace and or a king, possibly even a queen. It's pretty hard to represent any of these cards, seeing I haven't been doing any betting, so I'll just give up on the hand. And he had the ace. I'm 100% sure if I bet there he was calling. Jack Jack. I'm just limping, hoping that he'll do the raise pre-flop and I can put him in. And he's bet pot here. Perhaps I should flat call him and trap, but I think I'm just going to put the chips in, or at least make a big re-raise, and if he's got a hand he can call. If not, I'll just take that pot, and he's still down at around 300 chips. Alright, 6-5 suited. I like this sort of hand, but not for his whole stack. Alright, and I just limp this. As I said, he's not being too aggressive, and if I bet here, I'm pretty sure that he'll come over the top of me. An ace on the river, not much chance of me winning this, and even though that 30 bet looks weak, I'm not looking him up with the 9. And finally he shoves. I've got ace 5. He's got a little over 10 big blinds. I think this is a pretty easy call. And the good news is he's got jack 7. And unfortunately, even though I pick up an ace on the flop, he hits jack 7. So he's doubled up. That's no big drama. Right, we limp with 6-10. And he bets 30 here. As I said, whenever he's bet into a pot, it's nearly always been bottom pair. So I'm coming over the top, and I'm not coming over the top for a bet size which is going to be easy for him to call on that stack. If I just raise him to 90 or something, he'll probably call and hope to hit a second pair. So I'm raising him to 150 and telling him to get off the hand now. I know he's pretty weak. And he folds. As I said earlier, I'm playing a very different style against this guy because it's either run over him or get run over. Limp with 9-8. Not betting because I'm pretty sure he'll raise me. Hit the 8 on the turn, which is nice. And I bet pot because obviously I don't want him to call any draws, and I don't want him to hit any overcards. I sort of would like to take the pot down right here. And he folds. Ace Queen, he raises pre-flop, and he's got 500 behind. I'm shoving, and that's good enough. Pretty much every time he's shown aggression, he hasn't had much, and I have a feeling that he sort of slow plays his big hands and gets aggressive on rubbish. So my counter to that is to sort of out-aggress him when he's being aggressive and not give him a chance to push me off hands. And he bets this on the turn with a pretty big bet, pot size bet. I've got 2 overcards, but he can have that. Here we've got 4-6 suited. We limp and hit bottom pair with a gut shot. I'm just going to play this quietly, see where the hand goes. Now he bets 60 on the turn. He's done that 2 or 3 times, but as I said, I have a feeling that he might be checking his good hands and betting his rubbish so he can have that hand. Here we catch ace-ace, which is lovely, and even though he's limped, I'm going to raise now. I am a pretty passive player, but even I will raise ace-ace. I raised 3x, he calls, and now I'm going to do one of my favorite tricks, which I mentioned in a previous video, into 180. I'm betting 60 on this flop. It looks like the sort of flop that I will have missed, and I want to look weak, like a wounded fish, and hopefully the aggressive player will attack me, which he does. And as I said in the previous video, this trick works over and over, and the good news is I've got his stack all in, and the bad news is he's got a flush draw, but I do have a club, so that reduces his chances of hitting it. If he does hit, I've then got a chance to sort of suck out on the river. The turns are lovely too, and the river's the jack, giving him the flush. So that's 2 times I've had him in, and 2 times he's sucked out. So he's up to 1100 or so, and an ace high board, ace 7-5. He bets out, which is weak. Unlikely that he's got the ace here. So once again I come over the top of him, and once again he folds. I know he does that on bottom pair, and I know he'll fold if I come over the top, so that's why I do it. And it's been pretty profitable and right so far. This is not a very easy board for me to attack, and I'm happy to fold that up and just stay out of trouble. Alright, king 8, and I've hit top pair. Just far out a little bit, see if he'll come over the top of me, and he doesn't. Alright, he limps, and got a gut shot, but it's not a very good hand, and I'm not going to bet because I don't want him to get aggressive on me, and I'm happy to fold that. I'm looking for a better spot. We raise on 10-4, just making a random raise there, see what he does, and what he does is re-raise me, so that didn't work out too well. In fact, I think every hand that I've raised so far I've lost. I had the 10-10-8 board on the first one, ace-ace I lost with, and then I lost, so raising isn't working too well for me. Here we hit middle pair. I'm going to check it because I don't want him coming over the top. Now 2 pair on the turn. I'm going to bet. I might well have checked there because he's bet pot a lot of times on the turn whenever I show weakness, but I bet, and he folds. Here we've got Jack-Jack, and I just limp it hoping that he's going to raise me. He does, and now I'm coming over the top big. Raise him to 280, and it's an absolutely horrific flop with an ace and a king. I mean, what a disaster. And I check. Now on the turn he fires out, and honestly I should simply fold this, especially with the size of his bet, and 2 overcards. I call, being a little bit optimistic, hoping that I might hit a jack or a queen, and he shoves the rest of his chips in, and I've been a bit of a goose there by calling that turn bet. It was too high and too strong, and I should have just folded it. And now I've gone somehow from winning to losing, but in my defense, he cracked my ace-5 with jack-7, he cracked my ace-ace with a flush draw, and he just cracked my jack-jack with some sort of ace or king. So I mean, I haven't been running good on my big hands. All that's really kept me in the match was that I called him early on. Now here, he bets here on the paired board, and I decide just to flat call it because I know when he bets into this board that it's rubbish, that he doesn't have the ace. And I'm planning on sort of taking this hand off him on the turn. If he bets, I'm coming over the top, and if he checks, I'm betting. He checks, and I think 160 is just right to take that down. It looks strong, and it doesn't look too much like a bluff. So we floated him there, and we've come over the top of him quite a few times. Here we hit the top pair. I'm not betting, so I don't want to be raised. He'll always raise these paired boards, and I don't want to play a raised board here. He bets pot, and now I'm quite happy that I haven't been raising. And 6 on the river. He bets 200 into it. Now he could have a 9. I think it's a little bit, I mean, it's possible he's got a 3. He could also have a busted flush draw or straight draw, so I'm certainly calling this. And I've outkicked him with the 6 after he hit 2 pair on the turn, but that's fair and reasonable. King 3, we limp, and he raises us. He might be a little bit upset about losing that that sort of hand where he hit 2 pair on the turn with 9-4. And once again, a paired board, and why I bet this I'm not really sure, because I know he's probably going to come over the top of me. He has in this match, in every other match, and I'm going to just come back over him because every time he's done it, it's been rubbish. He hasn't had anything, and I made him fold it. King Queen, a nice hand, but not on the 3-7-5 flop. And I guess this video will surprise people that have seen the way I've played in my earlier videos, where I was patient and where I was sort of very, very conservative. But against a guy like this, it's been a very successful strategy to be super aggressive against him and constantly raising him when he bets, because it's always been weakness. And here I bet, obviously he's going to come over the top of me because he always does, but he comes over for 200, which is much bigger than he has before, and I suspect he might actually have something here, even if it's only a flush draw. I don't want to be committing my chips on ace high on a queen 2-2 board, so I'll fold it. And he raises me 3x. 8-8. The way this match has been going, where I've been sucked out on a few times, I'm almost close to shipping 8-8 if he raises me. And very good chance that I'm ahead here. I bet expecting him to re-raise me because he has, or to raise me, he has on sort of every paired board so far pretty much. And I'm coming over the top of him, and he calls. That is not a good sign. Now I have to think really hard about this. It's very possible he's got a jack. Also possible he's got something like queen 10 or king 10 or another pair. There's 900 in the center. I'm in a difficult position, but whenever this guy's raised me in the past, he's had rubbish. So I'm going to play as if I've sort of got something good here, and I simply shove, giving him only two options. He can call or fold, and he wasn't strong enough to call, thank goodness. And we've got him down to less than 1,000, really by out-bullying the bully. Limp with 10-7, miss. And fire out, try and pick up one. Even though I know he's aggressive, I'm still going to try and pick up pots now and again. Here he raises, just min raises, and in my experience his min raise has always been rubbish so far. So I'm coming over the top for all my chips with ace queen. I shove. I'm quite happy to get called here. I expect to have the best hand, and he folds. Alright, we missed this flop. He bets, and he can have it, no problem. He's down to 845 and made the little min raise. I'm not going to come over the top with 8-3, but I will be coming over the top of his min raises if he keeps this up, because I know he does it on rubbish. Queen jack suited, and not the greatest flop for me. Two hearts and a king. And I'm just sort of trying to not give away chips on a flop like this, and I might well be ahead, but I'll look for a better spot. Alright, we sort of trade folds from the small blind. 8-4, I make a raise. Hasn't worked any time throughout the match, but you know, I'm not going to give up on it. Despite the fact that it's failed miserably the last 3 times. And we're doing a lot of folding. Sort of neither of us willing to commit chips on pretty ordinary hands. And because he's been passive, I limp, and he lets me get away with it. We hit top pair. I check it for deceptive value, and pretty much one of the worst possible cards comes up, which is a jack of spades. That's a real horror card. I mean, the only thing worse would be another spade on the river, or a 7, or a queen, and the 7 comes. Luckily he checks, and we're not going to do anything fancy here. And we're ahead. Alright, ace 4, he raises, and I could probably ship it in there. He checks. Hopefully I'm ahead at this stage, but I don't want to bet and have him get aggressive on me. And I check it down. I'm going to call anything up to 200 here. And he turns up with ace queen suited. If I had have bet the flop or the turn, good chance he's shoving on me and I'll have to fold. So by playing that passively, I managed to win a pot which I was going to lose otherwise. Alright, 6-6. I'm limping. If he raises, I'm going to put him in. He checks, and on a 10-3-4 flop, I think I'm ahead. And he folds. Alright, 3x raise, I'm going to fold that, and I'm not really sure which is stronger, the 2x or the 3x raise from this guy. I mean, he just made a 2x raise on ace queen, but he's also made it on a bunch of rubbish, so I'm not quite sure what it means. Limp on ace 4, he shoves, and I don't think that's strong enough to call. He's got a sort of too big a stack, and he shoves again. Hopefully he'll do this one and have a good hand, and it'll hold up. And I'm folding jack 2 simply because he's been shoving, and I don't want to get that shoved on. Ace 6, if he shoves here, it's a bit of a tricky decision. I know a lot of people would call it. We hit the 6, and I bet, obviously with a paired board, this guy's coming over me, which he's done every time, so I have to have a plan, and this time I'm going to play it a little bit differently. I'm just going to min raise him, which is really trying to represent the 10. It looks like I'm trying to get value, and the jack on the turn, and I'm going to bet 150, and this looks like a really strong sequence to him, as if I really have the 10, and I'm just trying to sort of, as I said, taking the value down. And he folds. He's down to 570, and it looks like I'm back in control. But of course, nothing's ever as easy as it looks. Raise on 8-9, and he shoves all in. I have a draw, but not a great draw. I think I'll let him have that. Alright, limping with 8-4, and not the greatest of flops, although I do have a straight draw. Here he bets, and as I said before, I have a feeling that he will bet his weak hands and check his strong hands. So that's why I'm going to fold there. I'm not going to try and get fancy on him. 9-2, what a monster. I think we'll let that one go, lucky for him. Ace 2, could shove. He's got a sort of, what's that, 11.5 big blinds, and very likely that he'll fold. And he raises me, and he can pick up the pot, so he's up to 870. And I limp with rubbish, and he raises me again. This match, whenever I sort of get ahead, he just claws back. Min raise, and he lets me have it, so that's nice. And not a great flop for 8-7. He bets out, most likely weak, but I can't come over the top of him every single time. Eventually he's probably going to have it. And also not a great flop for me with Jack 6. And although this is a sign of weakness, I'm not going to be getting too frisky there. Ace 5, and he's up to too many big blinds for me to come over the top of him. I flat this, hit the ace, and all the chips are going in here. I'm not folding top pair against this guy. He's got a lower kicker, thank goodness, and we split it. So it's pretty hard to put him away. Here, I think I misplay this. He bets 120 into the pot, and nearly always this is bottom pair. I think I should simply shove because I get a lot of fold equity, and if he does call, I've got 2 overs and the open-ended straight draw, so I've got a lot of outs. 4 on the turn, which is an absolute horror card, and he bets pot, and I think he simply has the 4 here because this fits his MO, his modus operandi. Very, very likely he's got the 4, and now I have to give this up. Alright, King Jack suited, nice hand. Not a nice flop. Another paired board. And I don't bet it because I know if I do he'll simply raise me. He has every single time. And he raises pre-flop. I call a lot of these raises, getting 3 to 1. I check, I've hit middle pair. The 240 bet worries me. I probably should fold this. I've only got middle pair with an ordinary kicker. And unfortunately, I decide to shove it. And he snap calls me on top pair. Pretty much no kicker. Now I've had him in twice. Once with ace-5 against his jack-7. He sucked out. Once with ace-ace against a naked flush draw. He sucked out. He also sort of sucked out against my jack-jack, I assume. So maybe I'm due for one. If I can just sort of win one all in. And the turn and the river come out, and no, I'm not going to suck out on him at all. Here's the annoying thing. I pick up queen, queen the next hand. Make a little min raise to get the chips in there. He shoves, and I might well have finished the match if I had my full stack against ace-9. So you make an error and then you pay for it, but at least I'm up to 1200 and I'm still in the game. And he min raises me here, and I come over the top. His min raises are often weak, although he did do it with ace-queen once, but I'm sort of happy to be aggressive there. Ace-jack, I'm going to limp, I'm going to raise. And if he shoves, I'm calling. We get a beautiful flop. And I'm just going to check it. Look weak. It's a horrible turn card, of course. But I'm not folding. And we get a beautiful jack on the river. I'm hoping for a bet. Here, I end up betting 300, which I think is too much. I probably should have bet something like 120 just to try and get a little bit of value out of him. And as I said, I bet 300 and he folds. I was hoping he'd look me up, you know, sort of maybe getting a split, but 300 overcooked it. Alright, suited connectors, make a little min raise, and I won't be raising 3x against this guy if the min raise works. Alright, queen 3. I bet and he folds, so I've picked up a nice pot there. Really, I need to stay aggressive against this guy, because if I'm not, he's going to run me over, as he has in the past 2 matches. But probably not on a king jack 8 board when I've got 5-2 suited. I've still got the lead. I feel like I should have won this a couple of times, and I decide to flat call there with ace-8 suited. I could shove, but really I want to see a flop first, and now I've hit my ace. All the chips are going in. I'm not worried about him having me out kicked. I check, try and encourage him to bet. He doesn't. King on the turn, I think that's a beautiful card. He may well have raised on sort of king, queen, king, jack, king 10, and if he bets this, then I'm shipping my whole stack in. He bets pot. As I said, my stack's going in, and he folds, and that one really hurt him. He's down to 740. Ace 4, I shove at him, pick up 80, and as I mentioned, very, very different style in this match. I've been very aggressive. I've bluffed over the top of this guy. I've sort of re-raised him. I mean, every time he's bet almost, I feel like I've been coming over the top of him, simply because if I don't, then he's a very, very difficult opponent to deal with. And I've got him to shove on queen jack against my ace 9. Now he sucked out against my ace 5. He sucked out against my ace ace. He probably sucked out against my jack jack, but surely this time I'm going to sort of hold up just once. Oh, he also held against my middle pair, so that's, I don't know, probably three times I had him all in, and once where I had a monster pre-flop and he hit the flop. But surely this time I'm going to hold up. And the flop comes down, king 7-7, turn jack, river queen, yuck. to it. We need to grind him back down now. And I'm not betting this, I don't think. Now we pick up a draw on the turn, and we've hit our pair on the river, but I don't see much value in betting this. And he had ace-2. Possible I might have got a bet out, a call out of him, but not too likely. He limps. I'm tempted just to shove here, and I do. I don't think he's going to call me there. I could also shove with king-queen, but I'm more likely to get called. And here we've hit top pair. This is lovely. Just bet 80. Hope he's going to come over the top of me, which he frequently does. And he's come over the top for 240 with king-queen. I'm putting my chips in. And he folds. So you can see that he's an aggressive sort of raiser. He'd be doing that on bottom pair. He did it in the last 2 games several times. And this has worked out nicely. I made a min raise, and I've hit top pair with my queens. He just flat called my min raise. I really think I'm ahead here. I bet half pot. He raises me he raises me to 320. This is now looking ugly. This is normally a sign that people are ahead. They've hit a monster. What could he have? Unlikely he would have picked up 2 pair on this flop. He could have a set, but he's also a very tricky opponent, and he could be doing this on nothing. I ship, and he's got ace-ace, and I feel like a bit of an idiot, but he has sucked out on me about 4 times, or he's sucked out of me 3 times and held once, so maybe this time I'll get lucky. And it's a queen on the turn, and I finish the match. What I hope that you're going to pick up from this is really how differently I play against different opponents. In my other games you haven't seen anywhere near this level of aggression, but it worked against this opponent because he's the sort of guy that bets when he's weak and checks and bets on the turn when he's stronger. So anytime he bet out in the flop, I came over the top of him. Well, frequently I did, and whenever there's a paired board, he raised my bets about 100% of the time, and I simply came over the top of him on nearly all of those, and they were worth a lot of chips to me. Alright, hope you've enjoyed this one, and until next time, take care and good luck on the tables.